if you're on a journey of spiritual evolution and you're wanting to develop ways to connect with your higher self, well, today we're going to be talking about ways in which you can do that. And for those of you that don't know me, I'm Natalie, and I've been on my spiritual journey for what seems like a billion lifetimes, but it's actually been 3 years. And I have developed quite a few skills, and I'm still on my journey, obviously. And some of the things that I've noticed about connecting with my higher self, and I'm going to be sharing them with you today. So if you are on a journey of personal evolution, then you may find these will help you. And before we get started, don't forget to like and subscribe, and also share the video if you find it interesting or if you think that somebody else may benefit from it as well. And also make sure you check out my blog, which covers this in written form, and there's a link in the description, so go check that out. So, number 8. So this might just be the most simple bit of advice that I could ever give. And it's so simple, yet it's also so profound. Because when you're connecting with your higher self, it's your inner self, right? It's the self that's behind the energetic construct which is manifested in physical form, i.e. you, i.e. your ego. And the first thing is to take time to listen. Because what I found, and what I've read and what I've experienced with clients, is that when you are up in your head, in your thoughts all the time, then there's no space for the feminine energy and the connection with divinity. And so as you tune into that portal of your heart space, or your energy, or whatever feels comfortable for you, and take time to listen. Because if there's too much going on, and there's, you're thinking about, I don't know, what you didn't pick up at the shops last week, or what you need to do at the weekend, or a piece of work that you haven't finished, or whatever it may be, and all of these things are circulating in your head, where is the space and where is the gap for your higher self to speak? Where is the space for you to connect with something which is otherworldly and higher than a state of awareness in which you're experiencing right now? So if you're wanting to connect with your higher self, right, one of the ways in which I look at this is if you are wanting to connect with, let's say, like an old grandma. Now I say old grandma because I think of my higher self as this wise old lady that sits there with a nice well-binded book in her hand, and I can pick up the phone and I can ask her for guidance, advice, or comfort in being. So think of it this way. Connecting with your higher self, and if you're wanting advice and if you are seeking guidance, you pick up the phone, and then as soon as you pick up the phone and your higher self answers, which they always do straight away, and then you just talk. You talk and you think and you throw stuff at them, and you're just regurgitating all of this stuff to them, but you're not giving them an opportunity to offer that guidance, offer that advice, and offer that support. Then it defeats the point of connecting with your higher self. So take time to listen. So number 2, which is create a space for your higher self to be present. Now, if you're on a journey, wherever you are on your journey, this is going to be a practice which is cultivated over time, and I don't think the practice ever really ends. So if you're wanting to create an environment for your higher self to be present, what does that look like? Are these practices in daily life, or are these spaces that you cultivate inside of yourself? Is this practicing an awareness of your thoughts? Is this practicing awareness of your energy and how that manifests and what your experience is? So creating an environment within yourself and externally in your physical environment for your higher self to come through and to channel guidance and to support you on your conscious journey of evolution. Number 3, and this is gratitude. So, gratitude is the attitude. And any time that your higher self helps you, which is all the time. So It's an essence of cultivating this attitude all of the time. And this is being thankful and being grateful for what you have, where you are, and the connection that you've already created, to then strengthen the connection and then to evolve it and let it expand. And gratitude is the highest vibration. You know, it's a connection with being just the essence of being grateful for everything that you experience, because no one's entitled to anything. And even if you may be in a point on your path where things are a little bit rough, or if you're on a point in your path where things are absolutely amazing, both of these things offer profound insight and profound experience, which is part of your conscious evolution. So remaining grateful for where you are and what you have is a great way to create and strengthen that connection with your higher being. Right, the next one is signs and synchronicities, and before I press play again, I'd done the accent, and it's obviously come straight back out. So the signs and synchronicities, and what are the messages that the universe is sending you? What are the messages that your higher self is sending you? And how do you interpret these messages? Because, look, the thing is, wherever you are on your journey, so we'll just take it as if you were perhaps just starting your conscious evolution. And if you're seeing angel numbers, or if you are connecting with spirit animals, or if you're connecting with colours, or if you're connecting with nature, whatever it is that you're connecting with, then you are building a connection between you and the method of delivery of signs and synchronicities in which your higher self can bring to you, and your spirit team and your angels and your ancestors. So, for example, you know, part of my signs and synchronicities is I like to work with spirit animals, and I like to work with seeing things. You know, I like to see and I like to feel. So part of my path has been evolving ways to connect with my higher self, and essentially just giving that little thumbs up to the universe, saying like, hey, you know, when you send me spirit animals, this is a great way for me to interpret messages in which you're trying to deliver. And you know, you may find that you work with a different method of delivery, but if it works for you, then develop it, because it's a great avenue to build that connection with your higher self and to receive more of the guidance that comes through. Look, I'm a Taurus moon, okay? I'm a Taurus moon, so this is an important one for me. And this is connecting with your body and your senses. So what I found through the connectivity of my bodily senses and feeling how energy flows through me as an energy system has been a massive support in connecting with my higher self. Now, off the cuff, it may seem, you know, well, you're just connecting with your physical body. How are you connecting with your higher self? And we're all energy and motion, right? So if we're energy and motion, and let's say, for example, if I am not aware of emotions that I'm experiencing, then what influence is that having on me? And then how is that stopping a connection with my higher self, or clouding a connection, or, you know, making more of a disconnection between my higher self? So connecting with your physical senses and what's happening emotionally inside of you is a great way to discern, you know, what's happening in your current experience, and how can you allow yourself to feel, allow yourself to go through the motions, allow yourself to transmute, move through the emotion, but also have an awareness of it. And that awareness of, you know, being aware of you as an energy being and what flows through you is what's been, in my experience, made a profound difference in my ability to connect with my higher self in times of, let's say, for example, turbulence. So rather than being completely submerged in the experience of emotion, having that connection with something which is seeing above the situation, your higher self. So it can support with your evolution of remaining grounded and connected with yourself and with the universe at large. This is my favourite one, and this is joy, smile, laughter, and connecting with your inner child. Now, if you are on a journey of inner child healing, then check out my other YouTube video, because that may support you in moving forward and taking those steps. But connecting with your inner child, which is pure fucking joy, like pure joy. Because if you go and have a look at a child, right, a child is completely carefree, and a child is living, a child is intuitively connected with divinity, with the universe. They have no preconceived notions of how the world operates. They are, limited on the programming which has been embedded in them from parents, carers, and people around them. So they're a pure expression of the divine. And as you tap into that and you begin the process or continue with the process of removing the conditioning which surrounds your inner child and inhibits that childlike joy, then you are creating a space for that pure essence of you to flourish. And that pure essence of you can bring about feelings of joy, playfulness, fun, laughter, and all of these things support the flourishing of your inner child. So it supports the flourishing of your inner child. It also allows for you to flourish because you're experiencing the emotions that come with that connectivity. Right, the next one, which is, number 7, right? And I almost missed this off the list, and I don't know why, but it's quite an evident one in my opinion, and this is meditate. Now, I also appreciate that not everybody has an easy time meditating, and there could be several reasons for that. So one of the things that I like to do, and what I've monitored and experienced and spoken with other people about in regards to meditation, is finding a practice which works for you. Now, what I found on my journey is there are some days where I will go and sit down and meditate, and I am so up in my head and the thoughts are just bombarding me, but then I'll catch the awareness of my higher self. It's like, okay, and it's a stillness, it's an acceptance, it's the energy of, I recognize that you are in this space trying to meditate and trying to come back to this inner connectivity, and don't force the space, but I'm here with you, and I'm always going to be here with you. So if you find yourself trying to meditate and you find yourself up in your thoughts, know that your higher self is also present with you and is supporting the progress that you are making, even if at the time you don't think that you're making progress. Because showing up for yourself is the first step. It's always the first step. Now, on other days where there are some times where I feel so in tune with my higher self and my energy, and I'm like, yes, this is incredible. I feel so aligned, I feel so connected. And on those days, it strengthens the connection, and it reminds me of the connection that I have with my higher self, with my soul, with my spirit team, my ancestors. And over time, it balances out those times where, if you're stuck in your head or if you're feeling really connected, then it shows the duality of our experience, and also a reminder that, I can really allow myself to be immersed in the presence of my higher self right now, knowing that this is a moment which I'm going to savor, because it's not, what's that word? It's not always, it may not always be like that. It may not always be like that. And I'm allowing myself to savor this moment. and to create that connection that I have. And with meditation, if you are beginning a practice or you're on a practice, whatever it may be, wherever you are, then meditation can support in bringing your energy down to a center and allowing you to connect deeply with your inner self and allowing you to experience the things that come through, the guidance that comes through, and therefore strengthening that connection that you have with your higher self. The next one is surrender, and this is what I would consider an interesting one, and it's not, so an interesting one, right? So surrender, and in what ways do your limiting beliefs serve your lower self? So how are things serving your ego? How are things serving your way of thinking? How are things serving the ways in which you're operating in the world? And where does it come from? Because so long as you are stuck in a lower-minded way of thinking, it may be more difficult to connect with that higher state of being. And that's only when you're, if you're fully immersed in this experience of, perhaps there's things that you've been experiencing and subconscious beliefs and conditioning which you are regurgitating, and then you think that that's the only way to live life. It's the only way that you can experience life. So if you can find a way above what it is you're experiencing, an awareness of your thoughts in some way, and then creating a gap, even if it's just a tiny, tiny little gap, just creating that gap so that you are connecting with your higher self and beginning to dismantle and to release the limited thinking which which is serving your lower self rather than your higher self. So in a nutshell, mind your thoughts and become more aware of your thoughts and the ways in which they're serving you and the ways in which you want to move forward, and then developing the connection with your higher self to move forward. Now this is the last one, and this is notice when your higher self is present. And if you can tap into those feelings, right, of when your higher self is present and what that feels like and how that experience looks like for you, then it supports that connection. Because then if you are disconnected from your higher self, then what are the feelings associated with that? And if you know the feelings that are associated with being connected with your higher self, then it's easier to lean into, okay, I'm, perhaps not connected with my higher self. So what are the feelings, what are the sensations which reminds me of the connection that I have, and how can I lean into that? How can I allow myself to come back in tune with my higher self? And again, these are all things that are going to support the connection. And what I find my higher self to be like, my soul, and I have touched on it briefly, but it's this energy of she sees all, she sees all, there's no gender, but she sees all, but she doesn't need to speak on all. And so if I'm connected with my higher self, and sometimes if I'm meditating, for example, or if I take a moment of stillness, then as I tune inwards, and sometimes when I'm wanting guidance, all my higher self does is just be. There's a presence, and the presence is so profound and so powerful that sometimes, it's not sometimes, a lot of the time I question my mode of thinking without the need of my higher self saying, do this, do that, or, go here, go there, whatever. Sometimes all that's needed is a presence to help to create a space for your higher self to come through energetically and to support you in your journey of, conscious evolution. Now to wrap up, those are 9 things, and I'm a bit bummed because I wish I'd done 10, it would have been a nice whole number. But they're 9 things that can support in your conscious evolution and connecting with your higher self. Now, wherever you are on your journey, whether you are just at the beginning or you are extremely experienced in connecting with your higher self, then remember that, these things take times, and there may be times where the connection isn't as strong, and there may be other times where the connection feels overwhelmingly strong. But know that your higher self is always present, and these are some steps that you can take to begin to connect with your higher self and to build the connection that you have with your higher self. So thank you for joining me, and remember, like, subscribe, share and comment your experience with connecting with your higher self. Adios.